Welcome back to the Holler. tnholler.com is where you can find us at the TN Holler. We also have Hollers hollering all across the state. Thanks to your support. Really appreciate it. Your small dollar monthly donations keep us going. Grabbing a hat like the one I'm wearing is a really helpful way to support us. Also, shout out to Elisa Parker if you're buying or selling a home in Middle Tennessee. And if you need a lawyer, Mike, Abby Rubenfeld is super supportive of us here. If you've been watching any right-wing stuff lately, you've seen him pop up and hand them their asses. Mike Nellis is joining us. Mike, how are you today?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Good. So real quick, just so that people know, what's your background? I know White Dudes for Harris.
Yeah, well, if you've seen me on Fox News, they always introduce me as the founder of White Dudes for Harris. Fucking one-dimensional dude. I can curse on this show, right?
Of course.
I'm a Democratic strategist. I've been doing this for 2 decades now. I dropped out of college to go work for Barack Obama in the Iowa caucus in 2007. Parlayed that into a million different jobs. I'm just one of the first people that built digital fundraising and advertising campaigns for Democratic candidates and causes. And I run a company called Authentic, which is one of the largest digital fundraising and advertising firms for Democratic campaigns and progressive causes. So we do Adam Schiff is my oldest client. We do Gretchen Whitmer. We do Cory Booker. I'm an entrepreneur. I have a bunch of other little businesses that I sort of prop up, and proud resident of the city of Chicago, which Jesse Waters now knows. And I'm a content creator. I'm up on basically every platform trying to speak out against what these guys are trying to do to this country.
Well, you do it well. You're good at the messaging part. Is the game in digital fundraising, and is it like trying to figure out how to be effective without being annoying?
I feel like it's not that dissimilar from content creation. I'm trying to figure out how many
Right.
tweets to send to hit the algorithm button so that I make money. We try to run our firm in a way where we tell authentic stories. We try to have people connect with our candidates. So like Adam Schiff is a great example of this. Like Adam cares really deeply about what's said in his name, how many emails we send out. And so my firm is specifically known, I would say, the most ethical fundraising firm in the space that tries to run programs that are not scamming people. We're not sending goofy final notice emails or any shit like that.
If you don't give us money right now, the world's going to end, that stuff?
Yeah, we don't do that shit. We try mostly to work with candidates who actually care. So we do like Mallory McMorrow and Gretchen Whitmer and a whole bunch of others with really cool, good voices.
Seems to be that Chicago has been next in the president's sights. You were on with Jesse Waters, and this is my favorite part of it, where he used this chyron that says, "Safe cities make Democrats angry."
The funny thing about that chyron is he was the one screaming at me. I wasn't angry at all. I've been doing this for 20 years. I'm in the no fucks era of my political career, whatever you want to call it. Like, I'm tired of losing. I'm tired of letting Republicans define what it means to be a Democrat and how the world sees Democrats, because I think it's ridiculous. And what they do is they take a handful of goofs that are in our party, and there are goofs that are in our party who say silly shit, and then they amplify it to make it that everybody believes that. And so the Sydney Sweeney stuff with the jeans ad is the perfect example of that, which is, I think it's a silly jeans ad, and I wouldn't have put it out myself, but I don't think it's like American Eagle is promoting eugenics or anything crazy like that. And actually, when I was on Jesse Waters last time, he specifically asked me if I thought that Sydney Sweeney was a Nazi, which is ridiculous. They manufacture these crises, and they manufacture what a Democrat is, and then our party is too afraid to go into those spaces and argue with them. They're not as good at this as they think. If you had played the clip that you just showed, like, Jesse Waters is screaming at me all throughout the show. And anytime I brought up that inflation is too high, that Donald Trump defunded the police and the Republican budget, he's just losing his mind. Hit dogs holler. I don't know how else to put it. They love to throw their punches from their little safe spaces, and all of them are afraid to go on MSNBC. They're afraid to come on my show, other than a handful of them. So we need more Democrats that are going to step forward and go defend the party to the 5 or 10% of people who are watching on Fox News that are still tethered to what I believe to be reality and are interested in hearing what we have to say.
Another one was Tomi Lahren. Like, what was your general takeaway from that one?
Tomi deserves a lot of credit. Every Tuesday, and this is true, she has Liberal Tuesdays where she brings on a liberal guest. She didn't interrupt me. She didn't yell at me. It was an actual conversation, and that isn't always the case. Tomi let me talk, but she couldn't comprehend why I thought Donald Trump had defunded the police, but he cut $2 billion in community police funding. So there's fewer cops on the streets right now because of the Republican budget. But I'll give her a lot of credit for having me on, for making it a real conversation. Like, I think it's better TV. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, she wasn't ready because you pointed out that the budget that they passed, in order to pay for their tax cuts for the rich, they had to find cuts somewhere. And so they cut a lot of local budgets and program budgets that actually led to smaller police budgets. So while they run around talking about how Democrats want to defund the police, they're the ones actually doing it. And that's something that I get really frustrated with, especially quote unquote left-leaning talking heads like Bill Maher comes to mind. They will talk about, this fringe thing that's happening on the left and treat it as though it's like the Democratic Party position. And then when the Republican Party actually does a lot of these things that are damaging, they don't even discuss them as though, everybody's on board for them.
And Republicans get a total pass on that stuff. We have to be more forceful in pushing back against this. The Democratic Party is really risk averse right now. Like, we're scared about going on Joe Rogan and having him ask us a weird fucking question that we can't answer. And like, people are way more forgiving than I think the party gives the public credit for.
I think Gavin Newsom is leading the way on a lot of this stuff now, and I'm not saying everything he's done is perfect. Definitely probably have some policy disagreements with him, but he's certainly showing that you punch bullies, that you have to be willing to sit in those spaces and take the fight to them. And that's what he and his team have really been doing. What do you think about the way that they've handled caps lock and mocking him?
I really like the social media. As somebody who works in digital, I'm actually sort of jealous because very few of my clients have given me open reign to just get weird on the internet and try to like have fun and see if we can gather some attention, which part of what I like about my own content creation is I have my own creative outlet. I have long been a Newsom hater. I would say that his social media has upgraded me to a Newsom skeptic.
Okay.
You said that you probably have some policy disagreements with Gavin Newsom. I don't know how you can know that you have policy disagreements with Gavin Newsom because I'm not sure what his policy is. Sort of my biggest concern with Gavin is he's really good about promoting Gavin Newsom. He's really good about caring about Gavin Newsom. And in this particular fight, which is a pure political fight, Donald Trump ordered the Texas Republicans to gerrymander the shit out of the state, try to squeeze out an extra 5 seats. California has an easy opportunity to respond. So he's in a good spot to be able to do that. And it's a pure partisan fight. So like, he's perfect for that. When it comes to what is the vision for the future of the Democratic Party, what is the vision for the future of this country, how are we going to get out of the mess that we're in, I'm super murky on that. If you listen to Pete Buttigieg talk, or if you listen to AOC talk, or if you listen to Cory Booker talk, I kind of have a better sense of what those guys actually stand for. And with Newsom, I don't know. And I find the most dangerous type of politician to be somebody that either doesn't believe in anything or I don't know what they believe in. And that's an important distinction because Donald Trump doesn't believe in anything but winning and himself and lining his own pockets. Is Gavin Newsom that type of politician? I don't know. I'm not saying he is, but I just don't quite know. And it's weird because he's been governor for 8 years. So I feel like I should know that. And the flip side of that is politicians who believe in something, but they won't tell you what it is are even scarier. And JD Vance is that example of a politician. Like JD Vance believes in something. I don't know what it is. And that means it's probably worse than whatever I'm thinking. Those type of politicians make me nervous. That doesn't mean Gavin's got a lot of time between now and the primary to fill in those gaps and take me from a skeptic to neutral to maybe a supporter down the road. I'm not saying it's impossible. That's kind of where I'm at.
No, I understand what you're saying. And, to be clear,
I invited him on the show. I
talked to him. I sat down for 15 minutes with him when he was here in Nashville, mostly about immigration and some of the democracy stuff. So we definitely stayed in a safer space for him. And I hear what you're saying. And personally, I'm more in like the AOC progressive. Pete had an issue with that too. The Gaza stuff, Pete got asked about that on Pod Save and he had to walk that back. He was pretty mealy mouthed about it. So this is kind of the process.
Gaza is a super complicated and horrifying issue. We in the Democratic Party space are too eager to throw people off the boat when they fuck something up. That happened to Newsom at the beginning of the year when he had the missteps with his podcast. Happened to Gretchen Whitmer when she met with Trump to like get work done for her state, which I actually think she was in the right about. Like, you can bounce back from that stuff. Like, this is a long process. And I think that people are more forgiving when you keep showing up and keep trying to grow and evolve. So the lesson from the Newsom stuff is don't write anybody off.
Let me just be clear. I like Pete. If we're talking about where the direction of the Dems is, like, I do think this Gaza thing is really important to get right. Yep. I thought Emma Vigeland put it really well the other day. This is one of those things where if you're not right on this, I kind of don't trust you on the rest of the stuff. I was glad to see that the Politico interview after that, he kind of walked it back and he like got clearer about it and got some clarity. And I do think you're right that, we need to give people space to evolve on it. But this one in particular, where we are and how far things have gone, you got to be getting this right now. Even Jake Sullivan is on the Bulwark talking to Tim Miller, deserves blame for where we are because he was inside the tent. He's going, yeah, we need an arms embargo. It's important to get that right. And Pete's a smart guy. Got to get this one right. In my opinion, I don't think you can be the Democratic nominee without being willing to vote to pressure Israel in a real way, not just with words.
The challenge here is we're seeing what happens when we don't have strong American leadership. Donald Trump is the weakest president on the international stage that I've ever seen in my lifetime. He likes to brag about all the wars that he stopped and he's demanding a Nobel Peace Prize for it, but that conflict, India and Pakistan, never happens with a strong American president.
Well, and also that specifically, like that one that he includes in that list, wars that he stopped, like both countries are like, he had nothing to do with this.
Right.
Like Marco Rubio gets
how he did it, and they were like, Marco Rubio went on the call.
There's this one news clip of a news anchor in India. We've shared it probably half a dozen times now, where she's like, it's just not true. And he keeps saying it over and over again and he won't stop. But our media, and this is a big part of why we are where we are, it's like the media just does not push back on this stuff.
No, and the Republican Party is built from a communication standpoint to believe that if you are the loudest person in the room and you keep repeating the lie over and over and over again, you'll eventually convince enough people. And so far, pretty damn successful.
I don't want to let you go here without without talking about the thing that happened in Minnesota this week. 5,200 mass shootings since 2015, 4 by trans people. Yet that's what they keep focusing on. And I just want to play a clip.
My friend got hit in the back.
Did he go to the hospital?
Yeah, he went to the hospital.
What went through your mind when you saw that?
I was super scared for him, but I think now he's okay. I was scared that I wasn't going to see her because I didn't know what was happening, really. I was just in shock. It was like right beside me. I was like 2 seats away from the stained glass windows. The shots were like right next to me. The first one, I was like, what is that? I thought it was just something. Then when I heard it again, I just ran under the pew.
Absolutely devastating. Mike, I have a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old. I mean, it's my worst nightmare. You know, we saw Scott Jennings rip people who are downplaying the thoughts and prayers thing, but obviously, and I know this goes without saying, nobody who is downplaying thoughts and prayers is trying to denigrate people's prayers. What they're denigrating is the idea that that's a substitute for real change and taking action on these guns. And I saw the videos, I actually downloaded them before they got deleted. What shines through their video is how fetishized their arsenal is. No matter how you feel or what you feel about the motivation of each of these killers, whether you're going to focus on your anti-trans hate, whether it's white supremacy, whatever it is, none of that excuses or justifies giving such easy access to amassing these arsenals. So obviously the anti-trans hate is garbage, but regardless of what you feel about any of this stuff, it's the easy access to weapons that turn this into such a deadly situation.
I'm emotional about this for a lot of different reasons. First is that I'm a human fucking being. And I think if you watch a little kid go on TV talking about how his friend gets shot in the back, like that kid will never be okay again. Like that will be trauma that he will carry with him for the rest of his life. I'm upset as a father of a 6-year-old. I'm upset as a Catholic. When I heard about the shooting, it was hours later that I learned that he shot from the outside through the stained glass windows. When I go to mass on Sundays, like my favorite part of most churches is looking at the stained glass. Sorry, I'm emotional. I hadn't seen that clip of the little kid, and I think that hit me. Like, look, I'm mad as a parent. I'm mad as a human being. I'm mad as a Catholic. I'm mad. I'm just mad. What is really upsetting about it, I think these shootings are very solvable. Yes, a good chunk of it is access to a lot of weapons that can kill in mass, and we need to do a better job about that. We need new regulations. We need to keep the guns out of the hands of bad people. We already have so many guns, though. We may be like through the looking glass on that in a way that I don't know how to solve. But it isn't just the gun stuff. It's like we can do a better job securing our schools. We can do a better job on mental health care. We can do a better job on identifying and holding these people accountable before they get to this point. The Republicans have both hands on the wheel, are fully driving the federal government right now. They're fully driving state governments all across this country, and they're not interested in doing one goddamn thing to address this. They're not going to pass any legislation to put more school resource officers in who can keep our kids safe. They're not going to pass legislation to put metal detectors in schools. They're not going to do anything on guns. They're not going to do anything on mental health. And instead, the entire right-wing ecosystem is fixated on this person potentially being trans. I don't even know if that's been confirmed yet. 5,200 mass shootings in the last 10 years, 4 of them have been confirmed trans, which is 0.01%. And they want to focus on that. It is a party of petty grievances and hate. It is not a party of solutions to any of the problems that are happening in our lives, whether it be protecting our kids in schools and churches, making an economy that's actually affordable so that people can buy a house and retire with dignity and put food on the table. They've got no solutions for any of that. And there's so much talk about how the Democratic Party is lost right now, and we are. But what is the Republican plan on inflation? What's the Republican plan to keep our kids safe? What's the Republican plan on fucking anything except enriching rich people and corruption and thievery in the government? And where's the media on that? I'm heartbroken because all these families, 2 of which are grieving the loss of their kid, and the rest of them are grieving the loss of their kid's innocence because it's gone. This is trauma for these kids. And I also think it's trauma for our kids when we have them do active shooter drilling. And it's necessary to do that in the world that we live in, but that's an acceptance of a world that I don't think we have to accept anymore. And I'm very upset. I'm very offended. Like Scott Jennings is up there being like, oh, they're denigrating people who pray. And like, I'm someone who prays. Faith without works is dead. If all you do is pray and all you do is talk and you don't do anything to solve any of these issues, you have nothing. You have no faith. It is not Christian. I will not accept that. I've had enough with bullshit piety of the modern conservative movement that is not following the teachings of any God or any religion that I believe in.
Appreciate all that. If there were a bunch of lions on the loose,
you wouldn't just accept that there were lions everywhere.
Right. You wouldn't just go, oh, there's a bunch of lions. Let's just keep letting more lions out. Like at some point you'd close the damn cages and stop letting more lions out. It's just not an excuse not to try.
I wasn't saying.
I know you're not saying that. I do hear that from people who are saying that. Even people like Trey Gowdy are realizing how fucked up this situation is.
And the only way to stop it is to identify the shooter ahead of time, or keep the weapons out of their hands. And so we're going to have a conversation of freedom versus protecting children. I mean, how many school shootings does it take?
Well, apparently for Trey Gowdy, it took 5,000 to have this conversation, because where the hell has he been on this? Yes, we are going to have that conversation, and we should have been having it for 25 years, Trey.
That's a brave thing for Trey Gowdy to say now that he's not in Congress, because they didn't care and they couldn't afford risking pissing off the NRA or pissing off their base or doing what's right. That's the thing about Donald Trump that just boggles my mind. It's his party. The Republican Party is the party of one man, and it's Donald Trump. And it's been that way since the minute he came down the golden escalator. And he could reshape this party in any way that he wanted to. And he could do it in a way where it's like, I'm going to put money in my pocket and I'm going to get rich off of it. But man, he could also do some good. Donald Trump could just be like 20% less crazy. He'd be on Mount Rushmore.
But he's so insane and so selfish and so self-interested. He's just never going to do that thing. Tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, my Substack is my main platform. It's called Endless Urgency. You can find it at endlessurgency.com. Every major social media platform at this point, it's at Mike Nellis on Instagram and on TikTok and on Threads. It's got an underscore in it. So Endless Urgency, my life motto. I bring endless urgency in everything that I do. Spend time with my family and travel and build my businesses and advocate for my clients. The only other place I've ever seen the type of urgency that I have in my life is from Donald Trump's Washington. They are endlessly urgent to destroy shit, thieve and steal and hurt people and be disturbing online. Where's my Democratic Party version of that? Use the power of the federal government to help people, to do what FDR did and what LBJ did and what Abe Lincoln did. Like, we are the radical Republicans right now fighting against secessionist Democrats. That is what we are. And I want whatever the next version of the Democratic Party to look a lot more like that, but to do it to help people and improve their lives, not to do what Donald Trump is doing.
You'd like to see Democrats act like Trump, but for good. If there's a silver lining, he has shown nobody is going to accept the excuse that we don't have the power to do something in the future. This guy has shown that if a president wants to do something badly enough, you can go ahead and do that shit. The excuses are gone in terms of getting stuff done, raising taxes on the rich, raising the minimum wage, Medicare for all. Like, we need people who are going to take a stand for what's right and stop telling us what can't be done.
Every crisis is an opportunity. And I'd rather these crises not be happening, obviously, but it gives us a tremendous opportunity to move the country forward. Can't have the New Deal without the Great Depression. You talk about the Great Society and the Civil Rights Act. You can't have that without the Vietnam and the unrest that came before it. You talk about the ascension of Barack Obama and the Affordable Care Act. You can't have it without 8 years of George W. Bush. Just does not have it. So maybe the thing is, we have to go through this 4-year period in order to make some substantial progress in this country with whoever we nominate in 28. But we've got to get it right. And Democrats have to have the mindset and the mentality to use the power of the federal government. Because there's an old expression about Rome when Rome was falling, which is we assumed the walls were made of stone and they're made of paper. And Donald Trump proves that they're made of paper every day. And if they're made of paper for Donald Trump, they're also made of paper for the next Democratic president too. And you can use it for the right stuff.
Amen. Mike, thanks for joining us. Come back soon.
Thank you. Talk to y'all soon.